little while, and we moved to Spencer Avenue, and that's where I was. Of course, when I got married, I did move to Carver Avenue, which is off of Boykin Street.
Okay, perfect. And so, what was it like growing up here? When was that around?
It was in the 50s,
Mm.
50s and 60s.
And what was that like?
Well, I guess it was like home. That's all. That's all I knew. Now, we were. I went to a segregated school system,
Hmm.
and we were happy. We had a nice school. I don't know if you're familiar with Auburn, but you know where Drake School is?
Yes, ma'am.
That was our high school. So it was a very nice school. We had a pool. It was a pool down there too. So we used to go swimming and play, and we had and the ball field. They had a ball field over there, which was kind of like behind the house, and we used to play ball and just enjoy each other, have good fellowship.
Fantastic. What were there any interactions with the white community during this time? He's talking about it being a segregated school. What was it like growing up in a segregated community?
I guess we didn't know anything else, and we were happy. But the only somebody I can remember there were two people I can remember that we spent some time with. It was a guy who was a student at Auburn University. His name was Tom Milligan. He was from Valley Head, Alabama. And he came over, and we did voter registration and get out the vote and all that stuff together. And there was a girl, also another white girl there. Her name was Kitty Payne. And we spent some time with them. But those about the only white folk I guess I could think of right now that we spent time with.
Well, you talk about, doing all that. What was, if you don't mind me asking, what was your family life growing up here?
Well, our family life was happy. We lived. I thought we lived well. We were very happy. We lived well. My folks now we weren't rich or anything like that. My folks worked for the college for the fraternity houses,
Mm-hmm.
but we had good food, good clothes, good fun, good fellowship.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, just kind of following up on what you were saying earlier about, the Get Out to Vote organizations. When did you get involved in these different types of organizations?
I guess I must have been about 14 or 15 years old. We decided it was a time where it was a time whose time had come.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get people registered to vote and participating actively in the community, and that's what we did as young people. Every day when we got out of school, we went from door to door, getting names of people who would like to go and register to vote, and eventually we took them. We had there was a cab station,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Raymond Stubbs cab station. It's down there on Highway 14, which is the corner of 14 and Foster Street, and he had a cab company, and so all we did was get the names and addresses of people, what time they wanted to be picked up, and they picked, they would go and pick them up and take them to the polls and bring them back, and then Mr. Stubbs would not charge us any money. I asked him, because we tried to get a little money. Folks would give us money, but he said just let that be his contribution, and so we didn't. Don't leave me. My friend down here finna leave me. I'm sitting out here in this lobby by myself. But anyway, we did that, and we had what else? I forgot what I was going to say to you, Patrick. I might remember.
Oh, that is all good. That's fantastic. We'll come back to it if it comes back up again.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So this wasn't the NAACP that you were engaged with then. It was the Freedom League, right?
Well, Auburn Freedom League, and then, the person that was the president of the NAACP, Ann Higgins, her name was Georgia Ann Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
She just appointed me to work with young people. So yeah, I was working with NAACP and the Auburn Freedom League. Yes.
Okay, well, and so you were talking
Bye-bye.
about the different things you were doing with the Freedom League, and what ages with that? How long were you involved with them?
I guess I was involved with them until I graduated from high school and went to college at Tuskegee.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess I did a few things whenever I came home on for break or anything like that. I did that.
That's fantastic. Did you keep up with some of the same activities while you were at Tuskegee?
Well, a few of them we can, yeah, 'cause we did stuff, honey. When that man killed Sammy Young Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we were really involved, and we marched all over the campus and all downtown, and went downtown, and somebody climbed up on a Confederate soldier statue and painted it black.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were just upset about what they had done to Sammy Young. Sammy was a student at Tuskegee. He was 19 years old, and he used to come up to Auburn, and he used to work with us as well. And he went to this, why he did that by himself, I don't know, to this bus station down there in Tuskegee to use the bathroom, and that man shot him and killed him.
No, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So, interesting. Yeah. So what did you study while you were at Tuskegee?
Well, I studied sociology and psychology.
Okay.
But I transferred from Tuskegee to Auburn after I got grown and I called myself getting grown. I got married at the end of my freshman year in college, and so I transferred to Auburn University where I was at home.
What was it like at Auburn?
And I saw 5 or 6 more black folk in a week. And that's what it was. And then eventually at Auburn, there was a place, they had, at first there wasn't a place for us to gather, but we congregated at the basement floor of Haley Center. And a lot of black folks, we sat in one end on the corner. That's where we went between breaks and everything. And that's where we had fellowship. We played card games and did all kind of stuff down there and on the ground floor of Haley Center.
That's incredible. And so, when were you at Auburn? Do you remember the year?
Well, let me see. 68. I started at Auburn at 69.
Mm-hmm.
And I finished, I guess, in 72 because I ended up I was married and I had a baby, so I had to take a little time off. And then I finished in 72, and then I went back again and got a master's in 74.
That's incredible. Yes, ma'am. So while you were at Auburn, what was the community like in Auburn? I know you talked about black student congregation at Haley. What else was the campus like back then?
Well, like I said, Haley Center was our place where we went, and we fellowship with each other. Black folk did, and some white folk came down there, and we spent some time with them and everything. And but for the most part, we had this little area in Haley Center where we sat, and between classes and all of that. I also remember one time before they built Haley Center, we kind of congregated at what's the name of that old Sanford Hall.
Mm-hmm. And that was the spot before Haley Center.
Yeah, that because we didn't have anywhere else before Haley Center. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so after Auburn, that's when you started working with the NAACP?
I think I was working with the NAACP. Let me think. I was working with the NAACP. I guess while I was in high school, mm-hmm. and on until when I was in college, there was a lady there that was the president of the Lee County NAACP. It may have been Auburn NAACP. I'm not sure. Her name was Georgia Ann Higgins, mm-hmm. and she kind of appointed me to work with young people.
And what was that job like?
Well, it was a volunteer job. I just worked together with them doing voter registration, education, and participation for the most part. And we did other community service projects in the community. We would do things to help people in the community or help organizations in the community.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
Did you get Doris Talbot Hutchinson's information?
Yes, ma'am.
Because she was the president of Auburn Freedom League when we were in Auburn.
Yeah. She talked.
I can remember you talked to her?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to hear what you had to say. My bad.
Okay, I wanted to say, I can remember what we wanted to get more voter registration days, and we applied to have more voter registration days because we want more people to register to vote, and that application was denied. Mm. And we so we decided we wanted to have it anyway. And so what we did was we gathered at White Street Baptist Church, had prayer and freedom songs and chants and everything, and we got in cars and went over to Opelika to where the Lee County Courthouse was. And we thought we were going to get in. Well, we did get into Thompson Chapel Church. It was near the Lee County Courthouse. Mm-hmm. And although they had told, we were communicating with a young person in Opelika, and she called us crying, said some of the elders in the church didn't want us to come there, but I don't know what happened. All I know is we marched right up there and went in, had our prayer, had our freedom songs and chants and everything, and then we came out. And once we came out on Talbot Boulevard, they arrested us. So what we did was some of us just made them arrest us. We just laid down and got limp and everything. Mm-hmm. And we had some students with us from Tuskegee. One of the persons with us from Tuskegee was the first young person to die in the civil rights movement. He died from Tuskegee. His name was Sammy Young, Jr. Mm-hmm. And then there were some other people, Charlie Schutz and Wendell Paris, and another young lady. She was Miss Tuskegee, but I can't think of her name. And then there was a guy they called, he was real dark skinned, had beard, they called him Black Jesus, but we all worked together to get people registered to vote and take them to the polls to vote. And like I say, in Auburn, there was a cab company, Mr. Raymond Stubbs Cab Company. It was called West End Cab Company down on Highway 14, on the west end of Highway 14. And we contacted him to let us use the cab drivers to take people to register, also and to take people to vote. But we tried to pay him. He said no, to just let that be his contribution. And he was a trustee at my church, at Bell Missionary Baptist Church. It was Bell Baptist Church at the time.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how old you were when you did that? When you did that march? When
I went to jail, let me see, I was probably about 15. Listen, I was old enough to be put in jail and stay all night. One night in Lee County Jail. I had two sisters. They weren't old enough. They couldn't stay all night. Mm-hmm. So what they made them do was write some kind of essay. And when we went to court, Judge Frank M. Johnson declared what they did to us is unconstitutional. Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Yes, ma'am. So, after you got your master's at Auburn, where did you go after that?
After I got my master's from Auburn?
Yes, ma'am.
At home. I used to work in the career center, and I worked in the Auburn daycare centers and the career centers, yes. Mm-hmm. The last job I had was at the Opelika Career Center. I was a career center counselor.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. Yes, ma'am. How long were you at that job?
I believe I was there about 12 years before I retired.
Well, fantastic. Are you doing any other activities today, or are you still involved with the community?
I'm just involved right here in this place where I live called Stride Senior Residences, and I spend time with the people here. And if somebody want to do something, I try to do that. And but I don't spearhead too much.
Had that in the younger days. And are you still involved with the Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, NAACP today?
Well, I'm not a member. Well, they actually, what they did was they paid my dues. So mm-hmm. I guess I still am a member. And I was also a member of an organization called Alabama New South Coalition. Now, when I was in Alabama New South Coalition, I was the chairperson of the board of directors a couple of times, and the state president a couple of times, and so I still have those memories of working with them. We'll get out the vote and just other stuff, community stuff. Period.
Absolutely.
Activism.
Yes, ma'am. When were you involved with that?
Yeah. Well, I was involved in that when I was about. I guess I'm trying to think when they started New South. When they started New South in 19. Oh God, I don't know when they started New South. I'm gonna say 75. Mm-hmm. But anyway, or 78 or something like that. But I was involved in New South, SCLC, and all of those groups.
That's incredible. And you were in leadership positions for those?
Well, I actually became the chairperson of the board of directors of Alabama New South Coalition, and I also was the president of Alabama New South Coalition. So I did have leadership positions in both of those organizations. And there were people from across the state that worked together on to make a change for the better in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
That was the motto, Alabama New South Coalition, to make a change for the better in our lifetime.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, that's incredible. Well, I think I have one more question right now. It's just, looking at everything today, how do you feel, the NAACP is doing right now, and, what's something you kind of want to see happening in Alabama and Georgia and all these southern states?
Well, I guess NAACP is still active and doing well. What's his name, Derek Johnson?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's his name. He's the president or whatever. I think they're doing okay. I'm not sure what I can't sit here and say what they ought to do better. I just can't say that. I just think that they're involved, and I'm thankful that they're involved, and if things happen, that they are there, to work through it to help us in our community.
Mm-hmm. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Just one more time for my record, do you mind, saying your name and that you're okay with this interview being recorded right now?
Yes, I'm Barbara Pitts, and I'm okay with you recording this interview, Patrick.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciated this.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. You have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.